So, good job, I appreciate the help.
Thank you.
I want to reiterate, you did a great job, and you and Mary do a great job, and we really appreciate it, because this is one of the lifelong dreams of this side of the deal, is to get this thing cement line, and since y'all have come on, and Hal and everybody pursuing these grants, and it has made a tremendous amount of difference. The only thing is, once you get everything cement lined, I guess Pete's not gonna have a job.
I think he's gonna kill me before that comes.
Become a specialist in
Great job,
crack
Omar. Great job, Omar.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item B, update on proposed county of El Paso projects. In your books there, we'll show you that picture is the Cuadrilla area. We had our favorite constituent here this morning talking about issues about taking down a gate. But I will tell you that gate, that is the canal that where people travel on our bank to get in and out of their, since they're landlocked, of their residence. And the gate that he's talking about is the opposite side of that canal, so there's no travel on that side of the bank. I know he presented this petition to Larry, but the owner of that property, Mr. Martinez, has had a lot of difficulty with Mr. Kemple, as far as there's been issues of shooting into his home, and that's why the man moved his family out and so on. And we'd like to keep that gate closed because it does present another problem for our ditch riders. So they have a way in and out right now, that community. But the county, our new county commissioner, Elena Alguin, is doing a great job as far as addressing some of these people that are landlocked throughout the Lower Valley. And she targeted this area, and as you will see, there's 3 areas there where they're proposing connections into Socorro Road. One of them is they have to negotiate with a certain farmer in order to get that farmers to get that road.
There's 3 of them. That belongs to my kids.
Yes, and the other
for a little bit of information, they look on it favorably, so tell them
They
to
did?
get them, yeah.
okay.
Jody thought it was a good idea.
And then the opposite side, you'll see that little section, that will affect Mr. Kemple there, because they'll actually need some of his property. And then the one in the middle, that's the canal bank that they utilize right now, and she's proposing, she's contacted some of the people that own the property next to our canal, and is proposing buying some of that property to construct the road and actually pave it.
She can do it under eminent.
Yeah, the county wants to pave it and
They can do it under eminent domain anyway.
Yeah, and then they've been using our drain bank to come in and out. So she's talked to the 7 families that live parallel to our drain bank, and from what my understanding, my last conversation with her, is that they're all willing to give up some of their land to construct a road and where they'll be away from our drain bank.
What about the one up on Scroll Road in that area? Is there any, most of that's been taken care of from the subdivision on the other side, or are they still using it?
They're still using our bank, yeah.
Is there any, is she gonna look at try to fix that too?
Yes, there's that area that she's looking at. There's one in Fabens, where our Fabens yard is. The people that live behind our Fabens yard there, they're also landlocked and using our canal bank. And there's
Who subdivided that one? I don't even know. These 2 here, this one now, up there's a Robert Rella. Did you ever know Robert?
No, I didn't know.
He was the farmer here.
But then, you know, there's
These were the very first ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, no restrictions. They just want to put them in and use our canal banks as the exit, entrance and, egress and egress. Robert.
And there's another area south of Fabens also that's landlocked, that actually people, school buses go in through our drain bank to pick up kids, and we usually have to go in
Is
there.
that the Larry Ceballos subdivision?
I think so. And, but, you know, it's, I tell people, well, fix the bank from, because there are school buses going in there to pick up kids when school was open, so it's an issue that, you know, it's a big problem for us, but it's also a big problem for those kids that could,
All those subdivisions were done
yeah.
prior to there was any requirements by the county, so.
And we've addressed this with our former state senator. We brought him out here, we showed him some of the problem areas, but she, our new commissioner, is the only one that's really taking the bull by the horns, and looks like she's really addressing the situation, yeah.
Yeah, it needs it.
Yeah.
It's only 40 years late doing it.
Right. Right.
How long ago it's been subdivided?
And as you well know, when somebody's landlocked, they go to a bank to try and apply for a loan for renovation of their home or whatever, and the bank turns them down, and then they come to us, and Johnny and I handled a couple, those Johnny from, we had to write a special letter to them, and so they could qualify for funding and so. So it's a big issue.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I've seen a lot of areas that need addressing.
Yeah.
Well, see, our problem is, we only have the right to act as an irrigation district, not to get in business with subdividers.
Right.
And we never have ever been accused of being in business with subdividers. I think quite the opposite. Yes.
We've been accused by a lot of subdividers.
I've been accused of being against
Some
the
other
business,
things.
not in the business with them.
Then item C, I think, we'll be happy, we're working on an MOU, Omar and I and Lisa are working on an MOU with 4 other entities.
I was interested in that. What's this all about? I hadn't heard.
Yeah, actually, Jerry Grijalva brought this proposal up to me last meeting that we had, and so we're getting together and we're applying for a grant to buy this tire shredder. Lower Valley has taken the lead on it. They're willing to build the building to house the machine, and it'll be a total of $500,000 machine.
Who else is involved? Who are the other 2 entities?
The entities are Lower Valley Water District, the City of Socorro, the County of El Paso, and then the Tigua Indians. We had invited the City of San Elizario, but yesterday they informed Lisa that they didn't have any money,
And what do you make chips out of these tires?
Yes.
And what,
So-
they're merchantable, you can.
so the first machine, the $250,000 machine, will shred the tire down to 8 to 10 inch size. And the second part of that machine, which is another $250,000, will shred it down to a nickel size, and it'll remove the wire off the rubber. So we're thinking maybe we can use some of that small rubber for our canal banks.
Yeah, sure we need. How are you gonna structure it? I mean, business-wise, it's gonna be an entity, or who's it gonna belong to, or
Well,
how are you gonna structure it?
We're gonna buy it, the machine will be owned by the 5 entities, but Lower Valley has taken the lead on building the building and housing it and manning it.
And
And
after that, how do you account for it? I mean, do we have to put more capital in it after buying that? And, I mean, how's it, the business
yeah,
structure?
the MOU, we'll work on the MOU, and of course, we'll bring it back to you all, but we thought we'll have to, right now, we're thinking we'll have to put in about $50,000, but I will tell you that right now, we're using up to 10 trailers to rid ourselves of tires.
I think it's a good idea, Chuck. I'm not putting down the idea at all, because it needs to be done. It's a terrible problem. I was just wondering how you all envision the business model, I guess, is.
Yeah, well,
to use the term.
we've, this is very prelim, but we were working on how we're gonna divide that up. Will it be a charge to us, or will we be able to take a certain amount of tires? Because really, I guess the biggest entity that's impacted is us on tire dumping, and we're well of it. And then the next one would be probably the city of Socorro, and then Lower Valley Water District is getting a lot of tires also.
Has somebody actually seen the machine work?
The county actually,
It's taking out
I've seen it before.
it's
That
taking
one
out
is
the
very-
steel
Five
cables.
entities to use it?
yes.
Because I remember, see,
Only us. can
Joe
use it.
Concrete,
And then-
15 or 20 years ago, looked into this, it did some shredding, you remember that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the biggest problem was everything looked pretty good as long as they were biased tires. As soon as they get into steel belted red, they had a heck of a time in those days. Now, this is 15 years ago, figuring out how to remove the steel.
Yeah.
Have you seen this thing work? Does it get rid of the steel?
The second machine, we're probably gonna take a trip to look at it,
To see it
where
work?
they have one in Houston. But the second part of the machine actually removes the steel belted portion of it and reduces it down to about a nickel size.
Well, that'd be the part I sure want to see, to make sure they,
Yeah.
Get that out.
like I said, this has been a while, but
That's a-
that was the problem, was getting rid of the steel,
Yeah. And there'll be a lot of
belting.
stuff that we still need to discuss on this, but we think it's a great idea. It'll save money, because every semi-load that we take to Tres Pesetas or the other one is about a little over $2,000 cost to us. That's just them accepting the trailer, and that's not the manpower that we use to.
Yeah, and it's gonna deliver a usable product. What Stanley was looking at was mixed in with asphalt mix, where it's rubberized asphalt.
Mhm.
I suppose it increases the wear on asphalt.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
And Lower Valley's interested in it because they have a paving machine now,
Imperial has one.
asphalt machine, so they're interested in maybe utilizing some of that rubber to patch holes and stuff.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
it's a great idea, and like I say, just wanted to make you all aware that I am
Make sure it works.
talking to these people. Yeah,
Small ones.
How many loads did you say that Pete sends out?
we do
How many?
about 10 loads a year.
Oh,
Bearings and steel.
20,000 bucks.
Yeah. Plus, and that's not the manpower that we
So only these 5 entities can take advantage of this? And
would be able to
what
utilize it. And of course, Lower Valley's talking about maybe charging, there being a fee to say a farmer brings over
That's what I was
a
gonna
load
ask
of
next.
tires or.
See, that's a mess, like, they're in front of my dad's house, they used it for, I don't know if you guys drove by my. front of
Oh,
my dad's
yeah, I
house.
saw
You see
that.
tire?
I saw that.
I've ran off about 50, 60 people off already. But, I mean, I'm thinking, thinking ahead, we gotta do something for the public to make it cheap, because it's costing us money anyways.
I was gonna say, why would a farmer wanna pay for getting it done when you just go dump them on our?
And see, that's a big
That's
problem.
exactly, that's where I would go.
The mom and pop shops also, they're the ones that are causing the problem. So we're hoping that we can come up with a rate where they will be interested in bringing in those tires and paying to rid of
It's
them.
Judy and I worked for 6 years, 5 years on the regulatory end of it.
Yeah.
The state actually had this problem solved, and then it got repealed.
Yeah.
Most states have it solved. Most states, this is not a problem. Most irrigation districts don't have this problem. It's pretty simple. Ours, we collect the fee, but we don't use the fee to process the tires. And that fee was designed to pay the tire process. Almost every other state has it. But anyway, there's a long story there too, and I can tell you all about it, about the tire lobbying.
And a lot of it too is they charge to go to the dump out here too, that causes a big problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, well, anyways, there's supposed to be cradle to grave monitoring of it, it's doable, but it's not in this state, so.
Well, I would just be interested in how you're gonna structure business-wise, because it's gotta be thought through pretty good.
And almost have to set up a co-op, 501c3.
Well, that's what I'm saying, some kind of a structure where, probably, well, it needs to be looked at.
There'd be a fee for processing every tire, because there's gonna be a lot of energy goes into shredding those tires.
Yeah.
I think there's one of these It's private.
Yeah, it's,
That's
what's that?
Roadmaster.
Roadmaster? Mhm.
They're in Campi, right outside of Campi.
But they're the ones that we take they charge us a little over $2,000 a load.
Oh, that's where we're taking these?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
2,000 a semi-load.
10.
No, but we're
I don't think they grind it up as fine as what you're talking about.
we're using about 10 trailers a year, John, so that's 20,000.
No, this is really a good idea, it's just how do we,
Yeah.
you know, you have to think through how you structure it, and who's gonna do what, and what's gonna do who, and whatever, you know.
Yeah, manpower,
And then you gotta
maintenance
think of
on it is
liability
pretty high.
issues and all, because it's a good idea, it just needs to be structured.
These board devices can be.
We haven't looked at doing any mixtures yet. You have to add stuff to them like asphalt or something to make them. You can't just put the product.
Well, use the pursuit, I mean, like I said, it's a good idea, because it's a huge problem.
Hey, Chewy? Chewy?
Yes.
Again. Do you, in talking with this manufacturer and so forth, besides breaking even and not costing the district any money, but is there a way we can get the discharge of the, whatever comes out of this machine and make money off of it? And if so, is the district allowed to make money?
Well, for one, Lower Valley Water District is interested in once it's processed and the metal is removed from the tire, from the rubber, they're interested in, they have an asphalt machine now where they patch roads that they put in water lines or sewer lines and so on. So they're interested in using some of this material to do patchwork. So there's a lot of interest in it. There's like Johnny was saying, this is very prelim, but I thought it was a great idea, and I just wanted to make the board aware of what we were working on, so maybe it'll solve or make the issue, the huge problem that we have on tire dumping a little easier, especially for us, because we're the ones that get the majority of them in our canals and drains.
If it's properly structured
Right,
in a
right.
workable
No, that's
manner, it could be beneficial, otherwise it could be in something else that caused you problems sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, because I know that the rubber and the byproduct that comes from the recycled part of it is a moneymaker from either tracks or trading facilities and so on and so on. So I've used it before, and as a final product, shredded or recycled tires. So if this is something that obviously can lead to that, could be one of many positives.
Right.
Is there a grant involved with this?
Yes, there's a grant that
50/50?
actually the TIGUAs have applied for what is it, Omar, $125,000 grant?
That's either for 75K or 200K. So we're trying to go for the max amount. That would, the cost share for the TIGUAs is less than we're used to. I think they only have to pay 25% as a cost share. So let's assume we get $200,000 from this grant. Then we would have to get maybe another 75 from our partners, including the district, to pay for the cost share to be able to afford the full machine, the first phase of the machine.
So it's an equal share of the pie.
Yes. So anyway, we'll be working on that and bring, of course, reporting back to you on it. And then the last item is we're having a farmers meeting through Zoom at 1 p.m. today, and after Al gives his presentation, he's next on the agenda on the allocation, then we'll be reporting to the farmers what that allocation is, and
Sure glad it's on Zoom.
Be over pretty fast.
yeah, the last farmers meeting, I will tell you, the last farmers meeting that we had 100
So a little over 101 or 2.
120 participants, I think.
Wow.
So anyway, we'll be doing that at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
That's all I have, unless you all have any questions.
Okay.
Ray,
Ally Blair.
How much water you guys want?
4 foot.
How much you gonna get? 18 inches is the allocation, so we made the allocation committee made the allocation late yesterday. Chewy and I stuck around to went in at 2 and came out at 5. It took a while, but this is what we had predicted at this time. So 18 inches per acre is available. We have 4 irrigations for small tract. Gates open on 28. Water arrives on the 2nd, and that gate close date is, I think we've extended that a little bit longer. Where's Robert?
Right here.
There it is. Yeah, we're trying to get an extra sometime later than July 30th, but maybe 10 days, you think, into August? Just depends, we'll see how the demand is, right? So that'd be the earliest.
July, 60 days.
Last, 2013, we only did 45, so a little bit better.
A little better.
And of course, we didn't have as much, we had a shorter, but we don't, that's the first, you pretty much think that's, for most people, it's just gonna be 2 irrigations, right?
The most 3 with 18 inches.
18 inches you're able to get.
Well, and some of it got right, I mean, where it's tight,
No, 4 pecans, you know.
maybe.
No.
Well, down there with the clay, clay. For some of them were putting on the first irrigation 10 inches, so.
¿Qué pasó, 2 foot?
4 foot.
They shrunk to 2 foot. I'm just trying to get
Nah,
it.
you take unit 7, unit 6, when they get their water, they're pretty well gonna take almost the 12 inches when they water the first time.
Holy.
Yeah, they're dry,
Well, because they haven't done any water.
they haven't done no water, they're gonna eat up that water. And even on the most people, when they irrigate, they're gonna take 6 inches,
That first time, yeah.
yeah,
It's at least 12.
and then
4, 4, 4.
they get alfalfa, anybody that's got alfalfa that's still alive, they'll irrigate it twice before they even cut it, and they'll be out of water.
Yeah. Wow.
Most people will be out of water by the time we hit July.
Wow.
So with this allocation, we've scheduled four small tract irrigations.
We did 45 hours.
And to begin, I think your first one is scheduled when, Robert?
The 9th,
The 9th of June?
Good. So nothing's changed, I mean, you guys have seen it. So that's the curve, the storage curve at Elephant Butte, with combined storage. We're on track. Final allocation, we hope to get another 6 inches. But we don't know what's going on upstream. I'll show you that in a minute. It's hard to predict how much we're gonna get down there. You see that curve flatten out. It's picking back up the last couple of days, and I'll explain why, but it corresponds with the Middle Rio Grande diverting water. It absolutely corresponds with the response. So there was, if they had, and with no snow melt out, there's a lot of snow melt out too, but this is just the sort of the base curve to what the original was getting out. There's about initially about a 25-foot loss just because of the change in the base curve. A lot more in terms of this runoff that's come down. There's the 2013 versus, it was our previous worst year. There's actually more snow at this time in 2013 than there is today. Not a whole lot. You know, when you got only $1 to your name and you got $2 to your name, it's still about the same as having $1 to your name, right? So $2 and $1 aren't a whole lot of difference. But
That Middle Rio Grande diversion, meaning D'Antonio's theory 1, that they can divert water?
I don't know that there's any winning or losing, right? Well, we always lose, so I mean, got that too, you know, you're down here.
No, I mean versus the argument of the thing has to be allowed to flow.
They started diverting back in weeks before we started talking about that issue. We'll talk about that in closed session. Anyways, the snow started melting 2 weeks earlier this year than last year. And it was about 2 weeks earlier last year than it was the year before. At this rate, it'll start melting before it snows.
It's been doing that for years. It's not a change.
It's not a change, right? And we just get darker and darker.
Wow.
The whole
That's
west
a pretty
is
scary
burning
map,
up.
isn't it? It's a very scary map.
This is an interesting curve. So this is Ottawa, which is our upstream index station that shows how much is coming out of Colorado and northern New Mexico. And then, of course, San Marcelo is at the headwaters of the Elkby Reservoir. And then I shifted, there's a 5-day travel time on average between Ottawa and San Marcelo. So I took all of San Marcelo down and I shifted it by 5 days. So that's that 5-day lag. So I moved it up in time by 5 days so you can see the correlation. So that, you know, that the water that's flowing by Ottawa corresponds now on this graph to the water at San Marcelo. It actually physically occurred 5 days later, but this is what they call a lag diagram. And it corresponds pretty well. So everything's going along reasonably well. This bottom curve is the ratio of the two flows. So we're running at about 92, 95%. That means we're losing about 5% of the water to evaporation and consumptive use and other things early in the year. So there's been a lot of questions Art sort of asked one just a minute ago about, you know, efficiency of moving water from the upper reservoirs down during that time. The compact allowance anticipates that if there was any water stored up there, if that 38,000 we discussed last year had still been stored up there like we normally would have been, we would have released it in January and we would have gotten most of it down there. That's what that shows you. So that's just sort of what they call a base flow. It's about 500 CFS. As the trees and everything come back alive and it gets warmer, then you can see the efficiencies dropping off a little bit because the plants are using that. And then this abrupt change corresponds to, one, that we're starting to get more water released from reservoirs in northern New Mexico for their use. There's some San Juan Chama water, it's their water to release, and snow starting melting at low elevations and now up at high elevations. So we're in the middle of the snow melt you saw from the previous ones. We're almost done with the snow melt. But the two things happen real quick is our flows of San Marcelo drop off instead of increasing. They go down. That's directly correlated to diversions in Albuquerque in the upper reaches. And then the efficiency, of course, since they're taking the water and consuming it up there, gets pretty low. Efficiencies come back up some because there's so much water right now, we're peaking, that they can't divert all of it. So about half of it's making it down here. But it's not, it's went too fast. It's not, the differential, as you can see, because we're up in the high part, I don't know, my mouse isn't working. So this gap, even though we've gone up in efficiency, the gap is pretty big. So the acre foot gap is bigger than when we were down low. So Taos Bridge 584, this is today, right now, this morning. Ottawa 2100, 57% of that is the compact share for the Rio Grande project. So 1200 should be making it into the reservoir. Cochiti is just a pass through right now. Slight difference, 100 CFS, but it's supposedly not consuming. There might be a diversion for right up there, a small diversion. San Marcelo, we've lost 1,000, but it's not, the way the compact works, it's not really measured at San Marcelo anymore, it's measured in storage. And so what happens was you try to fill the reservoir that you get, you know, so much of the water goes into storage in the reservoir where you can actually see it and put a boat on top of it or fish in it. But part of it goes into the banks and into the aquifer around that. As you fill the reservoir up, it seeps into the banks, and it decreases. The rate of seepage goes down over weeks and a month. But initially it's pretty high, just like when you irrigate and it's dry, you use a lot of water. You know, if it's been wet for a while, you wouldn't take it. So we're going from 1,000 down to a 3-day average of change of about 674, so there's another 225 CFS. The shortage in delivery right now is about 1,000 acre feet today, and the total upstream loss is about 1,500, about 3,000. So, but not all that water upstream is ours, part of it's New Mexico. They're about 100,000 acre feet in the hole as of December 31st is what the credit, negative, or the debit rather. And we're trying to get a handle on how much deeper than going in the hole every day here. This, if this is correct, which is preliminary, so we haven't validated it, but if it's correct, we're going about, as you can see, about 1,000 acre feet a day, so every month it's another 30,000. So we didn't get the 38,000 that I could find. And not only do we didn't get it, we're going into a hole about 1,000 more every day. But all this is preliminary. I mean, some of the numbers aren't there, but the compact is complicated, and there's, especially, there's the San Juan Chama waters involved in it, and so we're trying to get that amount of water separated out, and find out how much that is there. We talked to Reclamation, Phil and I yesterday, and we should hope to have some fairly good numbers by Friday, if not early next week, find out.
That reminds me, all the San Juan Chama water is earmarked for who?
All sorts of people.
In Mexico.
By everybody but us.
Well, we didn't participate in that
I
project.
understand,
It's
but,
not our project. It comes from the Colorado basin, not from.
yeah, and it comes through that pipe up there, but
Tunnels.
we don't get any advantage other than maybe some help on the evaporation.
Well, yeah, they pay their share of evaporation because it's not project water, if they store any in LMB. Right
Bank
now, there's
storage.
about, I think about 1,500 acre feet of San Juan Chama water stored.
It's more than they can use, it helps our
Helps our
reservoir, because it's graded water, but it's still in the reservoir.
Yeah, it's in the reservoir, and right now, you know, obviously, the use of any water that's not ours in the reservoir is to keep the fish alive. So we
So
use
it's
it to
still
keep
in
the
the
fish
reservoir.
alive.
Yeah, it helps.
It's not very much. Colorado's got about 1,500 acre feet in the reservoir, too, so there's about 3,000. It'd be nice to have
Drought
about
is so
50,000.
severe too, I saw somewhere where they're saying that this drought is the worst that they've been able to identify as much as 1,200 years.
Yeah, from the tree rings and the 400, I know, you know, the little bit I knew from the Tucson has this incredibly long, 400-year record of rainfall from the Spanish settlements, and like I told you, this is the first time they ever recorded the longest period with zero rain. So that's strange.
In 1,200 years is a substantially long period.
And from listening to my dad, I swear that he lived through that period.
Your kids are gonna say the same thing.
That's, you know, we can go into all these calculations, but Robert and I worked, and this is a sheet that it's fairly new, we've modified it over the years, but it goes through all our contractual obligations, how much we get under the 2001 contract, which is very little this year. We don't have very many obligations to deliver water under it, so that everything goes down, money and water both go down on that contract. You can see that sometimes under the 2001 up here, we have an obligation as much as 30,000 acre feet, but this year we only have an obligation. That's the way that contract was designed. In a drought, it dies down on what we have to deliver so the water can go to the farmers. It was intended that way. Of course, when we don't have any conserved water to sell, we don't have any revenue either. That's when Mary gets nervous about. So we go from 5 million to 50,000 on the money side. And she already forecasted that. We knew this was coming, so on your budget.
Well, they even opened their plant for that little bit.
Well, they got their other water, their farm, their assignments. But they will, yes, they need that water. So they'll open up June 2nd. And they'll take as much as they can. And they've got a good allocation. Their total allocation, as you see above with Lower Valley, is 18,000. They get about 2,000 out of the 2001 contract, and their total is 19,811.
Okay.
So that we need that approved also, and the 18 inches, those are the two numbers you need approved, 19,811 for the city contracts.
Can we do it in one motion, or we need separate?
You can do it in one, you can do three. The third item, let me clarify the third item, and Sharon has a standard, we use a standard resolution for this, so it's just the numbers that we plug in, is the amount of water to nonprofits, right? And that's typically been the county, primarily the county and some schools, right?
Yeah.
Which we're pretty sure they're nonprofits, so we're okay with that, so.
Kathy has a list.
She has a list of them, there's not that many that actually contract with us, and we'll only contract with the ones that we are bona fide. They're typically local governments, except for the church, I guess.
Churches.
Church, the Catholic Church. And you have to give them an allocation too. We recommend, of course, the same, and you set a rate for that too, right, Mary? Then you set a rate for that. And, I don't know what the
Did
rate
you
was.
set the rate today?
It's
Yeah,
it's
you set the rate.
$45
Acre foot.
an acre foot.
That's what it has been, so we
Right.
need to make a motion to set it for the, you have to do it yearly, so.
Yeah, you have to do it yearly on that one. So you have to set both the amount and the amount per acre foot on that one, because that's not a arable land. I mean, the land was arable, it's just owned back tax.
And we haven't raised it in the last 3 or 4 years.
No, lakes and roads.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Singh, may he rest in peace, is the last time we raised it, he's the one that
He
made
took
it.
the heat for that.
Well, he's the one that proposed raising it to that amount.
And the bishop called him after that.
What did he call him?
I don't know. No good, I guess. So, yeah, it's 18 inches for arable land, 19,811 to contracts to the city, and then we recommend 18 inches to tax exempt contracts at $45 an acre foot.
Okay, under one resolution. Do I hear a motion to make that resolution?
Now, wasn't it tax exempt as to us?
The one is we recognize tax exempt and they have to have a contract. It's ones that
It's
are.
a contract, Jim, it's the contract. It's just if they
For
don't sign the contract, they don't get anything.
Well, right, that's.
selling the water, yeah.
Or we don't offer them the contract, they don't get
Well,
anything.
we sell them water is what we do.
Right.
Let me think, so that'd be the same as last.
For irrigation, though, the water's.
For irrigation,
For
yeah.
irrigation.
Right.
And we have how many contracts right now, Kath? Do you-
30?
We have about 80.
about- Yeah, it's,
I don't know.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Art makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
second.
George seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Miserable year.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to point it out, something is, our carryover from last year was 88,203. Without that, we'd be down to 31,000 acre feet. So it would've been-
And with the 38,000 would be over 100,000.
Yes.
110,000. I don't think I'll ever forget that. Okay, moving right along. Pete Rowe, you're on back there.
Well, right now, we're a little behind on the projects, but I think we'll be able to catch up and be out of announcement in 2 weeks. I don't think, should give me an option, so. I have started some of the mowing, I'm getting some of the guys off the shotcrete, and, we have started some of the mowings. Right now, I've got one more, just about in every unit, just to try to stay ahead of the water. And then we're gonna have to big catch up once water gets here, because there is a lot of mustard weed that's come up that we, that's kind of gotten away from us.
It's not there. You gotta take it out and put it back in.
Other than that, we've got a couple of projects, 5R, we're finishing that one up. The pipe just came in on Tuesday, so we need to put in about 200 feet of our pipe in there. This is something that he paid for the pipe. For him to be able to bring water from one side of the tornado over to the other side. There was a block there that he couldn't get water to, so we had to drop the level of the pipe. And in the process of doing that, well, the pipe got damaged, so we had to buy some new pipe. So we've got that going. We've got a couple of turnouts that yet we need to install. We've got one for TechStot that was paid for by TechStot over on the Isla. And then we've got one on the I-57 for Mr. Carligasquez. So we've got those two, and then pretty much we've got all the projects for the water users that have been paid for.
No, there's something wrong with your drive.
Technical difficulty.
Well, yeah, but We got, I mean, I guess we're having this every time, we need to get you different units, we can never find out what your computer is doing to it, and so it's not compatible.
That technical difficulty
You
is
want
still
homework
with
to
that
fix it?
pipeline is.
Yeah, you want me to give him the drive and he'll fix it? It's on East Street. So Chewy wants to take a recess, so we'll go fix his computer.
Okay, well, I guess, there it is.
We have to, there's a formatting error on the USB drive, so.
$50 you go put into a computer.
You have to point it over here, yeah.
Oh.
See that was
As I mentioned, we've started some of the mowing. Oh, let's go by self, okay, this here is on the fence. This catwalk here collapsed, so we had to rebuild another catwalk. And then, this is some of the work that, the IBWC is doing. So I've talked to a guy, about them going out there and cleaning up our canal.
Sorry, that was a fast version, we're trying to get you over with. You holding the button down, or?
He touched you, didn't
Yeah, okay, hold
Back it up. Which one do you want, that one?
on.
That's where
Okay,
we're.
there's
Hit the
there's the
right,
walkway after we got completed with it.
hit the right one on the right.
Okay.
Okay, we've seen all the rest, so you're done.
Couple of washouts, gopher holes, this is, over by the island drain, and this drain here is very sandy, so, we've been having trouble with this drain here. So we went ahead and brought in some good clay soil, hopefully we could take care of this problem once and for all. It's quite a bit of, the dirt we have to haul in, but, it was finished, here a couple of weeks ago. And then this here is the island main, just kind of go through it pretty quick, on the shotcrete. Dirt work, the liner, and of course, this one here did not have any panels on it. This is a crossing on the island main. This was, right in the middle of our project. This was also paid by,
Chase.
Yeah, by Chase. They wanted a crossing over the island main so they could get to the other side of the field. That, they own that on the side also. So they're pouring the head walls. They should have poured them already. Contractor was gonna get that 10 o'clock this morning, so this should be completed already. Wait a couple of days to remove forms and then finish the shotcrete above and below. There's only about 15 feet on both sides of this structure here that we need to complete. This is the shotcrete on the island main. I should be able to turn this canal over to Robert by this weekend, so he can run water, starting next week.
It's gonna be a huge improvement on that.
We were able to do approximately about 1,800 feet. We were just shy of getting to the 154 heading, but we're pretty close to the 154 heading. And then this is the extension on the riverside that Omar was speaking about, the additional that we had to do. This is right at Raceway 1, and here again, we had to haul in quite a few dirt. So. This section here, a liner has gone in. I have brought in the crew from Montoya over to the riverside, and again, doing the same thing that Mr. Reyes said earlier, I'm ganging up the people. I've got a crew laying panels on both sides. I got 2 crews out there. Eddie should be done with the shotcrete on the island main, so I'll bring him over to the riverside here probably by the end of the week and start shooting the riverside. That's the takeout right by the ponds. This is the liner and the panels going in. Right side there was a time that we couldn't drive that right bank. This is on the Montoya main. We had a water user that started as well, and apparently water leaked back into the Montoya, so we had a little mishap there, but been taken care of, reshaped. We did shoot some elevations out there. I'm gonna stop just short of Country Club. We were hoping to get to Country Club, but we're gonna start right at Lindbergh, which is what the contract calls for. There is a check that I need to demolition next year and lower the floor. When it was built too high. So I'll have to go in there and remove that check and redo it. That's right ahead, this is at Motoya A.
Yeah, but when was the check bill? Before our time?
Yeah, it was.
In the sixties,
Yeah, I
probably, yeah.
don't know when it was built, but yeah, it's about 2 feet too high. So that's right at the heading, going down to Mulberry. So it's been completed up to Mulberry, now we're working from Mulberry down to Lindbergh, and the earthwork is almost done. I'm just removing some dirt that we had to pile inside the canal to try to move a little quicker. But that's right there, the Mulberry. So we have the liner just about to hold up to Lindbergh.